In this short video, we'll be discussing past perfect tense. To form the past perfect tense, we use had plus the verb in the past participle form. So for example, the students had eaten before they studied for the exam. We have the past perfect form right here, had plus the past participle form of the verb eaten. The uses of the past perfect. The main use actually is when we want to talk about an action or state that started before another action or state in the past. So in other words, there's two things occurring when we use past perfect. So for example, before the test, the instructor had reviewed the material. So we have two events happening here, or two actions happening here. The first event that happened is the instructor reviewed the material. And then later, there was a test. Let's take a look at the second example. The professor had already left the office by the time they arrived on campus. So again, we have two events happening. First, the professor left, and then they arrived on campus. So you can see that the first event, or the event that's farther back in the past, is in past perfect form. And then the second event that happened later, still in the past, but later compared to this first event, we use the past simple. Some of the time phrases that are commonly associated with past perfect are by the time, before, and after. Some of the adverbials that are commonly used with past perfect are already, never, just, still, and yet. Still and yet, however, are used a little bit differently. We place still before had in the verb phrase, and then yet is placed at the end of the sentence. This is a visual representation of the past perfect. So again, we have two actions or events happening represented by the X's. The first X is in past perfect, and then the second X, or the second event, is in past simple. Since this tense is a little bit difficult to understand, we want to ask ourselves this question: which event or action happened first? So let's take a look at all of these sentences and try to determine which event happened first and which event happened second. You can pause the video here, and then the answers will be on the next slide. So here are the answers for the previous slide. I'm going to go over just one of these to show you how we determine which event happened first and which event happened second. So if we look at the third example here, they arrived after the professor had left the office. So if we read this sentence, there are two actions again. The professor leaves the office and they arrive. So we can tell by using the past perfect tense that the first action that happened in the past was that the professor left, and then the second action that happened later, but still in the past, is they arrived.